Before there were nations as we know them today, tribes roamed the lands of Europe. In the area we now call Switzerland, the Celtic people, known as the Helvetii, lived. They were among the very first to use coins in this mountainous region. These were not coins made by the Helvetii themselves, but rather, they were copies of coins from far-off lands. The Helvetii admired the gold staters of Philip II of Macedon, the father of Alexander the Great. They began to create their own versions, simple, stylized imitations of these powerful Greek designs. These early coins, often called rainbow cups, due to their curved shape, and the golden glint they gave off when found in fields after a rain, were a remarkable first step. As the mighty Roman Empire expanded its reach, its influence swept across Europe, and the lands of the Helvetii were no exception. Roman legions brought with them their own system of currency, a highly organized and widespread form of money. Coins bearing the faces of Roman emperors, such as Augustus and Nero, became the common currency. These coins, made of gold, silver, and bronze, were used for trade, to pay soldiers, and to collect taxes. The local Celtic coinage slowly faded away, replaced by the powerful and uniform currency of Rome. For several centuries, the denarius, the sestertius, and the aureus were the coins of the realm, a testament to Roman dominion over these alpine valleys. The decline of the Roman Empire brought with it a period of great change and uncertainty. As Roman authority weakened, the flow of new coins from the central mints in Rome ceased. This created a void, a need for a medium of exchange that was no longer being supplied. Local leaders and new Germanic tribes, such as the Alemanni and the Burgundians, who settled in the region, began to fill this gap. They started to mint their own coins, often crude imitations of the late Roman or Byzantine designs. These coins were far less refined, but they served a vital purpose, allowing local economies to continue functioning in a fragmented world. This era, known as the Migration Period, was a time of transition. The coins from this period are fascinating historical documents, telling a story of collapsing empires and emerging kingdoms. They show a blend of old Roman traditions and new artistic styles from the Germanic tribes. The materials were often inconsistent, with the purity of the silver and gold varying greatly from one minting to another. It was a chaotic but creative time for coinage. The organized system of the Romans was gone, replaced by a decentralized and highly localized approach to making money. This set the stage for the complex monetary landscape of the Middle Ages that was to follow. As Europe emerged from the so-called Dark Ages, power became even more decentralized. The era of Charlemagne and the Carolingian Empire brought a brief period of monetary standardization around the year 800. The silver denier, or pfennig, became the dominant coin. However, after the empire fragmented, the right to mint coins, known as the right of coinage, was granted to numerous local authorities. In the lands that would become Switzerland, this meant that cities, bishops, and powerful feudal lords all began to produce their own money. This created a wonderfully complex and often confusing mosaic of different currencies circulating side by side. Imagine traveling from one valley to the next and having to change your money. This was the reality in medieval Switzerland. The Bishop of Basel, the Abbot of St. Gallen, and the Counts of Savoy were all powerful entities with their own mints. They produced silver coins called bracteates, which were so thin they could only be stamped on one side. The design on the front would appear in reverse on the back. These delicate coins often featured images of the local ruler, a patron saint, or a coat of arms. They were a clear symbol of local power and independence, each coin a tiny declaration of sovereignty in a world without a strong central government. Trade and commerce, however, required larger and more reliable coins. As the medieval period progressed, thicker and more substantial silver coins began to appear. The groschen and the plappart were larger denominations that facilitated bigger transactions. Gold coins also made a return. The city-states of Italy, like Florence and Venice, led the way with their gold florins and ducats. These beautiful and valuable coins were internationally recognized and became essential for long-distance trade. Swiss cities and lords soon began minting their own gold coins, such as the gulden, often modeling them on these successful Italian examples. The variety of money was astounding. This period was defined by monetary diversity. A merchant in Zurich might have a pouch filled with coins from Bern, Lucerne, and even foreign lands like France or Austria. They had to be experts in identifying different coins and knowing their relative values. which could change based on the purity of the metal and the political climate. Money changers became essential figures in every marketplace, sitting at their benches, or banks, which is where the modern word bank comes from. The medieval coinage of Switzerland was a direct reflection of its political landscape. A collection of small, independent states, each with its own identity and its own money. As the medieval period gave way to the early modern era, the old Swiss Confederacy grew stronger. This was a loose alliance of states, or cantons, that banded together for mutual protection. While they were united in a military and political sense, they remained fiercely independent in many other ways, especially when it came to their money. From the 16th century until the mid-19th century, each of the cantons, and even some half-cantons and allied cities, continued to mint its own distinct set of coins. This created an incredibly complicated monetary system, a true patchwork of currencies that made trade within the Confederacy a constant challenge. The coins from this era are a treasure trove for collectors, showcasing the unique identity of each canton. Bern had its thaler, featuring a bear, the city's symbol. Zurich had its own thaler, often depicting the city's saints, Felix and Regula. Geneva, a powerful city-state, issued the Genevoise. The names of the coins were as varied as their designs. Batzen, Rappen, Schilling, Angster, and Kreuzer were just a few of the denominations in circulation. Each canton set its own standards for weight and silver content, meaning that a Batzen from Fribourg might not have the same value as a Batzen from Solothurn. This was a system that cried out for simplification. The sheer number of different coins was staggering. It is estimated that by the late 18th century, there were over 860 different types of coins circulating in Switzerland. These were issued by cantons, cities, abbeys, and other authorities, each with its own monetary system. A merchant traveling from Geneva to St. Gallen would have had to conduct dozens of currency exchanges along the way. This complexity was a major obstacle to economic development. It hindered trade, complicated accounting, and made the country's economy far less efficient than it could have been. The need for a single unified currency was becoming increasingly obvious to many. The political turmoil of the late 18th and early 19th centuries only made the situation more complex. The invasion by French revolutionary forces in 1798 led to the creation of the short-lived Helvetic Republic. This new central government made the first attempt to introduce a single currency, the franc of Switzerland, based on the Bernese thaler. However, the republic collapsed in 1803, and the cantons immediately went back to minting their own coins. The problem of monetary chaos returned, perhaps even worse than before. This failed first attempt, however, planted a seed. The idea of a single national currency had been introduced, and it would not be forgotten. The year 1848 marks the true beginning of modern Switzerland. After a brief civil war, a new federal constitution was adopted, transforming the loose confederation of states into a unified federal nation. One of the most important powers given to the new federal government was the exclusive right to mint coins. This was a monumental decision. It meant the end of the chaotic system of cantonal currencies that had hindered the nation's economy for centuries. The federal government was now tasked with creating a single, uniform currency for the entire country. A currency that would unite the nation not just politically, but economically as well. The law establishing the new currency was passed on May 7, 1850. The new monetary unit was to be called the franc, and it was divided into 100 rappen, or centimes in French-speaking areas. The name and the decimal system were deliberately chosen to align with the French franc. At the time, the French franc was one of the most stable and important currencies in Europe, and this decision was a pragmatic one. It made trade with Switzerland's largest neighbor much easier. The new Swiss franc was introduced at par with the French franc, a simple and effective way to integrate the Swiss economy with the wider European system. The first federal coins were struck in 1850. The designs were symbolic of the new unified nation. The silver coins, including the half, 1, 2, and 5 franc pieces, featured a seated figure of Helvetia. She was the female personification of Switzerland, holding a spear and a shield decorated with the Swiss cross. This image represented strength, unity, and liberty. The smaller coins, made of billon, which is an alloy of silver and copper, and later bronze, featured the simple Swiss cross inside a shield. The message was clear. The era of cantonal division was over. All citizens of Switzerland, from Geneva to Romansh-speaking Graubünden, would now use the very same money. the introduction of the Swiss franc was a resounding success. It simplified trade, stabilized the economy, and fostered a stronger sense of national identity. Old cantonal coins were gradually withdrawn from circulation and replaced by the new federal money. The government established a single federal mint, initially located in Bern, to handle all of the country's coinage needs. For the first time in its history, Switzerland had a truly national currency. This monetary union was a critical step in the country's journey to becoming the prosperous and stable nation we know today. The Swiss franc was more than just money, it was a symbol of a united people. The creation of the Swiss franc was a major step forward, but the story of its early years is, really intertwined with a grander European project. In the mid-19th century, with growing international trade, many saw the benefit of having a common currency across different countries. This led to the formation of the Latin Monetary Union in 1865. The founding members were France, Belgium, Italy, and Switzerland. The goal was to make their national gold and silver coins interchangeable. This meant that a 5 Swiss franc coin would have the same size, weight, and silver content as a 5 French franc, 5 Belgian franc, or 5 Italian lira coin. This was a remarkable early experiment in creating a single European currency, a forerunner to the modern euro. Under the agreement, each country's coins were legal tender in all the other member states. A person could travel from Brussels to Rome to Geneva using the same set of coins without ever having to visit a money changer. The union was based on a bimetallic standard, meaning the value of the currency was legally defined in terms of both gold and silver. For Switzerland, this meant that its new franc was part of a large international currency bloc, which provided stability and greatly facilitated foreign trade for the young federal state. The union worked well for several decades. It expanded to include other countries like Greece, and many other nations adopted the union standards for their own coinage without formally joining. However, the system was not without its problems. The relative market price of gold and silver began to fluctuate wildly in the late 19th century. This put immense strain on the bimetallic standard. Countries began to hoard gold and dump silver, creating economic instability. Wars and political disagreements also weakened the bonds between the member nations. The outbreak of World War I in 1914 was the final blow. The Latin Monetary Union was never formally dissolved, but it ceased to function after the war. The economic chaos of the post-war years led each country to pursue its own monetary policy. By 1927, the Union was effectively dead. Despite its ultimate failure, the Union had a lasting impact on Swiss coinage. The specifications for Swiss coins, from the 10 Rappen to the 5 franc piece, were set during this period and have remained almost completely unchanged ever since. The size, weight, and composition of a modern 1 franc coin are the same as they were in 1865. The Latin Monetary Union is a fascinating, half-forgotten chapter in the history of the Swiss franc. The coins of Switzerland are known for their remarkable consistency and timeless design. Let's take a closer look at the denominations that have served the Swiss people for over a century. The smallest coin in circulation today is the 5 Rappen piece. It's made of a golden-colored bronze alloy, and, it features the head of Libertas, the Roman goddess of liberty, on its front. The smallest coin ever minted was the 1 Rappen piece, a bronze coin featuring the Swiss cross, but it was withdrawn from circulation in 2007 because its production cost exceeded its face value. The 2 Rappen coin was also discontinued earlier, in the 1970s. Moving up in value, we have the 10 Rappen and 20 Rappen coins. The 10 Rappen coin is perhaps the most extraordinary of all. It's made of a copper-nickel alloy, and its design, featuring the head of Libertas, has remained completely unchanged since 1879. This makes it one of the oldest coin designs in the world, still in regular circulation. The 20 Rappen coin, also made of copper-nickel, features the same iconic head of Libertas. These small coins are the workhorses of the Swiss economy, used in countless daily transactions. Their enduring design is a symbol of Switzerland's famous stability and tradition. Next are the fractional franc coins, the half franc, 1 franc, and 2 franc pieces. These 3 coins all share the same design. The front features the standing figure of Helvetia, a powerful female allegory of Switzerland. She is surrounded by 23 stars, representing the 23 cantons of Switzerland. The number was updated in 2000 to reflect the creation of the canton of Jura. The back of these coins shows the value within a wreath of oak and alpine rose branches. These coins are made of a copper-nickel alloy today, but until 1967, they were minted from silver, a tangible link to the precious metal standards of the past. Finally, we have the largest circulating coin, the magnificent 5-franc piece. This large heavy coin, often nicknamed Pfundleiber, is also made of copper-nickel. Its design is one of the most celebrated in Swiss numismatics. The front features the iconic image of an alpine herdsman, a symbol of Swiss tradition, strength, and connection to the land. This powerful and rustic portrait was designed by Paul Burckhardt and first appeared in 1922. Like the other franc coins, the 5-franc piece was made of silver until 1967. The consistent use of these classic symbolic designs for over a century has made Swiss coins instantly recognizable around the world. The 20th century brought immense turmoil to the world, with 2 world wars and the Great Depression. Through all of this, the Swiss franc earned a reputation as a safe haven currency. Switzerland's political neutrality and its strong, well-managed economy made its currency a store of value in uncertain times. This stability was reflected in its coinage. While other countries frequently changed their coin designs and metal compositions due to war and inflation, Swiss coins remained remarkably consistent. This continuity became a powerful symbol of the country's enduring stability in a rapidly changing world. A franc was a franc, solid and dependable. One of the most significant changes in modern coinage occurred in 1968. For over a century, the half, 1, 2, and 5-franc coins had been minted from silver. However, in the late 1960s, the global price of silver rose dramatically. Soon, the value of the silver in the coins became higher than their face value. This led to widespread hoarding. People were melting down coins for their precious metal content. To stop this, the Swiss government acted quickly. In 1968, it switched the composition of these coins from silver to a much cheaper copper-nickel alloy. The old silver coins were officially demonetized and withdrawn from circulation, marking the end of silver's role in everyday Swiss money. Another important aspect of modern Swiss coinage is its multilingual nature. Switzerland has 4 national languages: German, French, Italian, and Romansh. To reflect this linguistic diversity, the coins are designed with neutral Latin inscriptions. The country's name is written as Confederatio Helvetica, the official Latin name for the Swiss Confederation. This is often abbreviated to Helvetia on the coins. Using Latin avoids favoring any one of the national languages and is a clever solution to a complex cultural issue. It ensures that the coins are a symbol of unity for all Swiss people, regardless of the language they speak. In recent decades, the Swiss National Bank and the Federal Mint have continued to manage the nation's coinage with a steady hand. The designs introduced in the 19th and early 20th centuries have proven to be timeless. The only major changes have been the withdrawal of the 1 and 2 Rappen coins, which had become impractical. The focus has been on maintaining the quality and integrity of the currency. The introduction of the euro in neighboring countries has had little impact on the Swiss franc, which remains one of the world's strongest and most trusted currencies. The story of modern Swiss coins is one of quiet, confident stability. While the circulating coins of Switzerland are known for their unchanging designs, the country also has a rich tradition of issuing special and commemorative coins. These coins are minted to celebrate important national events, honor significant individuals, or showcase Swiss culture and nature. They are legal tender but are primarily created for collectors, and are not typically found in everyday circulation. The first commemorative coin was a 5-franc piece issued in 1936 to mark the anniversary of the Battle of La Panne. It featured a dramatic design of a soldier, and was a departure from the usual coin imagery. Since then, the Swiss Mint has issued a steady stream of beautiful and interesting commemorative coins. These are typically released in denominations of 10, 20, and 50 francs, and are minted in precious metals like silver and gold, as well as in bimetallic versions. The subjects are wonderfully diverse. There have been coins celebrating the Swiss Red Cross, the anniversary of the Federal Constitution, and the opening of major alpine tunnels like the Gotthard Base Tunnel. Others have featured famous Swiss personalities such as the artist Alberto Giacometti, the architect Le Corbusier, and the psychologist Carl Jung. One particularly interesting series of coins is the Shooting Thaler, or Schützenthaler. These are large, silver coins issued in connection with the Federal Shooting Festival, a traditional Swiss marksmanship competition that dates back centuries. These coins often feature highly artistic and patriotic designs related to the host canton and the sport of shooting. They are highly sought after by collectors both in Switzerland and abroad. These thalers are a continuation of a long tradition of issuing special medals and coins for these festivals, a practice that existed even before the federal state was formed. In recent years, the Swiss Mint has embraced modern technology to create even more innovative coins. They have issued bimetallic coins with a gold-colored inner ring and a silver-colored outer ring, and have even produced Switzerland's first ever colorized coin. These special issues serve as miniature metallic artworks, telling stories of Swiss history, innovation, and culture. They provide a dynamic and creative contrast to the steady, unchanging nature of the country's circulating coins, allowing the mint to express a different side of the national character, one that is artistic, modern, and celebratory. The history of Swiss coins is a journey that mirrors the history of the nation itself. It began with the scattered imitative coins of ancient Celtic tribes. It moved through the organized but foreign currency of the Roman Empire, and then fragmented into a complex mosaic of money during the Middle Ages. For centuries, the coinage reflected a land of independent, often rival, cantons, each proudly minting its own currency. This monetary chaos was a barrier to progress, a constant reminder of the divisions within the Swiss Confederation. The creation of the Swiss franc in 1850 was a turning point. It was more than just an economic reform. It was a profound act of nation-building. The single unified currency helped to bind the diverse cantons together, fostering trade and creating a shared economic identity. The subsequent membership in the Latin Monetary Union embedded the young currency in a wider European context, establishing the standards of size and weight that have endured to this day. The franc's journey through the turbulent 20th century saw it emerge as a global symbol of safety and stability, a safe haven in a world of uncertainty. Today, Swiss coins are a model of continuity and tradition. The head of Libertas on the 10 Rappen coin has looked out at the world unchanged since 1879. The standing Helvetia and the iconic Alpine herdsman have been in the pockets of the Swiss people for generations. These designs are not just functional, they are deeply symbolic. They represent liberty, unity, tradition, and a connection to the land. The use of Latin inscriptions is a masterstroke of diplomacy, respecting the nation's multilingual heritage and reinforcing the idea of a confederation united in diversity. From ancient rainbow cups to modern commemorative masterpieces, the story of Swiss coinage is one of evolution from fragmentation to unity, and from chaos to stability. These small metal discs are more than just a medium of exchange. They are historical artifacts, works of art, and potent symbols of the Swiss national identity. They tell a story of independence, pragmatism, and an enduring commitment to quality and stability. The legacy of Swiss coinage is one of quiet strength, a metallic thread running through the heart of European history, as solid and reliable as the mountains that define its homeland.